My family said they couldn't afford a gift for me but threw a surprise party for my sister the same week. I didn't say a word. Until I posted a photo holding the deed to my own property. Their rage-filled messages haven't stopped since. My name is Sarah, and this is about how my family's favoritism finally backfired in the most spectacular way possible. Let me start from the beginning. I'm 28, the eldest of 3 kids. My sister Emma is 25, and our brother Jake is 22. Growing up, it was always obvious that Emma was the golden child. She got the best toys at Christmas, the newest clothes for school, and our parents' undivided attention whenever she wanted it. Jake and I learned early on that we were just background characters in the Emma show. Don't get me wrong, I love my sister. But watching your parents consistently choose one child over the others for decades does something to you. It creates this quiet resentment that you try to push down, but it never really goes away. The pattern continued into adulthood. When I graduated with honors from university 5 years ago, I got a congratulations text and dinner at Applebee's. When Emma graduated from the same university 2 years later, our parents threw her a massive party and bought her a brand new Honda Civic. When Jake graduated just last year, he got a handshake and $20. Emma's wedding 8 months ago was a $30,000 affair that our parents funded entirely. They took out a second mortgage on their house to pay for it. When I got engaged 4 years ago, they told me they'd contribute $500 and wish me luck planning the rest. My ex-fiancé and I ended up postponing the wedding indefinitely due to financial strain, and eventually broke up over the stress. Emma knew all of this, by the way. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The real story starts 6 months ago, on my 28th birthday. I had been working as a software engineer for a tech company for 5 years, and I'd been saving aggressively. Not just saving, investing. I taught myself everything about real estate, stocks, cryptocurrency, you name it. While my family was spending money on designer handbags and expensive dinners, I was living in a tiny studio apartment, driving a 12-year-old Toyota, and putting away 50% of my income. See, I had a plan. I'd been watching the real estate market in our area like a hawk, waiting for the right opportunity. There was this beautiful Victorian house about 10 minutes from where I grew up, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, original hardwood floors, a wraparound porch. It had been on the market for 8 months because it needed some work, and the price kept dropping. I had done my research. I knew exactly how much the renovations would cost, and I had connections with contractors from a previous project at work. The numbers worked perfectly. I could buy it, fix it up, and either flip it for a significant profit or keep it as my dream home. I had been planning this purchase for over a year. My birthday fell on a Thursday this year. I had been dropping hints to my family for weeks about this milestone, not about the house, just about wanting to celebrate together. I suggested we could do dinner, maybe a small gathering. Nothing fancy. I just wanted to feel like I mattered to them for once. The morning of my birthday, I got the usual text from my mom, "Happy birthday, sweetie. Hope you have a great day." That was it. No phone call, no plans, nothing. I waited all day. I kept checking my phone, thinking maybe they were planning something. By evening, I couldn't take it anymore, so I called my mom. "Hey mom, it's my birthday," I said, trying to keep the hurt out of my voice. "Oh yes, honey. Happy birthday. How are you celebrating?" I was hoping we could do something together as a family. There was a pause. "Oh Sarah, you know money's really tight right now. We just can't afford to do anything big. Maybe we can get together for coffee this weekend?" Money was tight. Those words hit me like a slap. I knew for a fact that my dad had just bought a new fishing boat the month before. I knew my mom had been posting photos of her weekly spa visits on Facebook. But they couldn't afford to take their eldest daughter to dinner on her birthday. "Sure, Mom. Coffee sounds fine," I lied. I hung up and sat in my apartment, staring at the wall. I felt so stupid for getting my hopes up. At 28 years old, I was still that little girl hoping her parents would notice her, would choose her for once. That's when I made the decision. I opened my laptop and sent an email to my real estate agent. "I want to make an offer on the Victorian house. Let's move forward." The weekend coffee with my mom never happened, by the way. She texted Saturday morning saying something came up. Fast forward to the following Thursday, exactly 1 week after my birthday. I was at work when my phone started buzzing with notifications. Instagram, Facebook, text messages. I opened Instagram first and saw it, a post from my mom with about 20 photos of a surprise party. The caption read, "Our baby Emma surprised us by coming home from her business trip early, so we threw her an impromptu celebration. So grateful for our family. #blessed, #family, #surprise." I scrolled through the photos in disbelief. There was Emma, beaming in the center of it all, surrounded by decorations, gifts, and a beautiful cake. Our parents, Jake, both sets of grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone was there. The dining room was decorated with balloons and streamers. There were at least 15 gift bags on the table. But wait, it gets better. I kept scrolling and saw a photo of Emma holding up a set of keys, with a caption and the biggest surprise of all, Mom and Dad are helping me find the perfect house when I'm ready. Dreams really do come true. I stared at that photo for a full 5 minutes. My family, who couldn't afford to take me to dinner for my birthday, had just promised to help my sister buy a house. The same week. The same fucking week. I felt something break inside me. Not break like sadness, break like a dam bursting. All those years of being overlooked, dismissed, treated like an afterthought, came flooding out. But instead of crying or screaming, I felt this cold, calculated calm wash over me. I didn't comment on the post. I didn't call anyone. I didn't say a word. Instead, I went back to work and focused on closing the deal on my house. My offer had been accepted 2 weeks earlier, and we were moving quickly through the process. I had an inspection done, negotiated some repairs, and worked with my lender to finalize everything. The sellers were motivated, and I was paying cash, so things moved fast. 5 weeks later, I got the call. Congratulations, Sarah. The house is yours. I drove straight from work to the closing. Sitting in that lawyer's office, signing paper after paper, felt surreal. When he handed me the deed with my name on it, Sarah Catherine Mitchell, sole owner of 847 Maple Street, I almost started crying. But these weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of pure, overwhelming pride. I had done this. Me. Alone. Without my family's help, without their support, without them even knowing. I owned a house. A beautiful, 3-bedroom Victorian house with original crown molding and a garden I couldn't wait to plant. I took a photo right there in the lawyer's office. Me, holding up the deed, with the biggest smile I'd ever worn. I looked happy, successful, independent. Everything I had worked so hard to become. But I didn't post it right away. I waited. I spent the next 2 weeks quietly moving in, setting up utilities, meeting the neighbors. I had already given my landlord notice weeks earlier and arranged for a moving company to pack and transfer my belongings while my family assumed I was just at work. The house needed work, but it was structurally sound and absolutely gorgeous. I hired contractors to update the kitchen and bathrooms, refinish the hardwood floors, and paint the exterior. I was living my dream, and my family had no idea. During those 2 weeks, I got exactly 3 text messages from family members. One from Jake asking if I could lend him money for car repairs. I said no. One from my mom sharing a meme about coffee. I didn't respond. And one from Emma asking if I wanted to see photos from her house hunting. I left it on read. 2 weeks after closing, I was ready. I had taken dozens of photos of the house, inside and out. I had photos of me painting walls, assembling furniture, planting flowers in the garden. I looked happy, glowing, accomplished. But the photo I chose to post was the original one from the lawyer's office. Me, holding the deed, smiling like I just won the lottery. Because in a way, I had. I crafted the caption carefully, officially a homeowner. Couldn't be happier with my new place. Sometimes the best things happen when you do them yourself. #new house, #homeowner, #blessed, #self-sufficient. I posted it simultaneously on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at 7 p.m. on a Friday night, prime social media time when I knew my family would be scrolling. Then I put my phone on silent and went to take a bubble bath in my gorgeous clawfoot tub. When I checked my phone 2 hours later, I had 47 missed calls and 73 text messages. The comments on my posts were a mix of congratulations from friends and coworkers and complete shock from family members. My cousin Lisa, Sarah what? When did this happen? My Aunt Carol, wait, you bought a house? When? How? But it was the private messages that told the real story. From my mom, Sarah, call me immediately. We need to talk. From my dad, what the hell is this? You bought a house without telling us? From Emma, are you fucking kidding me right now? From Jake, yo sis this is crazy. Can I come see it? The messages kept coming. I sat in my beautiful new living room, wrapped in a fuzzy robe, reading message after message of shock, anger, and demands for explanations. But the best part? The screenshot my friend Rebecca sent me of Emma's Instagram story from that night. It was a photo of her ugly crying with the caption, "When your sister decides to upstage your moment by buying a house without telling anyone." Some people have no consideration for timing. I laughed so hard I snorted wine through my nose. Saturday morning brought a new wave of messages. My mom had apparently been awake all night crafting the perfect guilt trip. Sarah, I'm so hurt that you didn't include us in this major life decision. We're your family. We should have been part of this journey. I don't understand why you would shut us out like this. After everything we've done for you, this feels like a slap in the face. Please call me so we can discuss this like adults. I read it twice, then deleted it without responding. Emma's messages were less subtle. This is so fucking typical of you, Sarah. You've always been jealous of me, and now you're trying to steal my thunder. I just bought my house 3 weeks ago and you're already trying to one-up me. You're pathetic. And posting it the same week as my housewarming party? Really? You couldn't wait? You had to make it about you? Mom and Dad are devastated that you hid this from them. I hope you're happy. I stared at that last message for a long time. The audacity was breathtaking. Emma was mad at me for buying a house the same week as her housewarming party, but she had gotten a surprise party the same week as my birthday. The hypocrisy was almost impressive. By Sunday, the messages had escalated. My dad, who rarely texts, sent a long paragraph about respect and family values. My mom left a voicemail crying about how I was tearing the family apart. Emma posted a passive-aggressive quote on her Instagram story about toxic family members who create drama for attention. But the message that broke me wasn't angry. It was from my grandma, my mom's mother, who had somehow gotten the whole story. Sarah, honey, I saw your post about the house. It's beautiful, and I'm so proud of you. I hope you know that some of us have been noticing how hard you work and how much you've accomplished on your own. You're a strong, independent woman, and you should be proud of yourself. I love you. I cried reading that message. Happy tears, sad tears, relieved tears, all of them at once. Monday morning, I decided to break my silence. But not with private messages or phone calls. I posted an update on social media. Thank you to everyone who has congratulated me on my new home. I'm overwhelmed by the love and support. For those asking about timing and why I didn't share this journey sooner, I've learned that the most rewarding accomplishments are often the ones you achieve quietly, on your own terms. Sometimes you have to bet on yourself when no one else will. Grateful for this new chapter and excited for what's ahead. The subtext was clear to anyone paying attention. I didn't name names or throw anyone under the bus, but the message was unmistakable. I did this alone because I had to. The response was immediate. Friends started commenting with supportive messages. Coworkers shared stories about their own solo achievements. Even acquaintances from high school reached out to say how inspiring my post was. But my family's reaction was nuclear. Emma called me screaming. I let it go to voicemail. The transcript was almost incoherent. You manipulative bitch. Making us look bad. Passive-aggressive. Always the victim. Dad wants to disown you. My mom showed up at my old apartment Tuesday evening. When I didn't answer, because I wasn't there, she called my landlord demanding to know if I had moved out. The landlord, bless him, told her it was none of her business. Wednesday brought the most revealing message of all. My dad, who had been silent since his initial angry text, sent this. Sarah, we need to have a serious conversation about your attitude and behavior. Your mother is beside herself. Emma is talking about cutting contact with you entirely. This family has supported you your entire life, and this is how you repay us? By making us look like bad parents on social media? We demand that you take down those posts and apologize to your sister. If you don't, there will be consequences. I read that message 3 times. This family has supported you your entire life. The delusion was staggering. That night, I was having dinner with my friend Marcus, catching him up on the whole situation. Marcus had known my family for years and had witnessed their favoritism firsthand. So let me get this straight, he said, setting down his fork. They forgot your birthday, helped Emma buy a house the same week, and now they're mad at you for also buying a house? That's the simplified version, but yes. And your dad thinks they've supported you your entire life? Apparently. Marcus shook his head. Sarah, you know this is insane, right? Like, objectively crazy behavior on their part? I nodded. I know. But it still hurts. Of course it hurts. They're your family. But you need to see this for what it really is. They're not upset that you bought a house. They're upset that you did something big and impressive without needing them. It threatens their narrative that Emma is the successful one and you're the struggling older sister who needs their help. He was right. My success made their favoritism look bad, so instead of examining their behavior, they were attacking me for achieving something independently. Thursday marked 2 weeks since my original post, and the messages were still coming. Emma had enlisted her friends to comment on my posts with subtle digs. My mom was posting cryptic Facebook statuses about ungrateful children and family loyalty. My dad had apparently told extended family members that I was going through some kind of mental health crisis. But something interesting was happening too. Other family members were reaching out privately to congratulate me. My cousin David sent a long message about how he always admired my work ethic. My aunt Susan called to ask for financial advice for her own daughter. Even some family friends were sliding into my DMs to say they'd been following my journey and were impressed by my independence. It became clear that the people who actually knew me weren't surprised by my success, they were just surprised it had taken this long for everyone else to notice. Friday night, exactly 2 weeks after the chaos began, I got a message that changed everything. It was from Emma. I need to tell you something. Can we talk? I stared at the message for a long time before responding, okay. Call me. She called within minutes. Her voice was different, smaller, less confident than usual. Sarah, I've been thinking about everything that's happened, and I owe you an apology. I didn't say anything. I wanted to hear what she had to say. I was so mad when you posted about the house because Because I knew it made me look bad. I've been house hunting for months with Mom and Dad's promised help, but I keep finding excuses not to commit. Meanwhile, you just went out and bought your dream house with cash. I was embarrassed. She paused. But that's not your fault. You worked hard for this. You've always worked harder than me, and I think I've always resented you for it. This was not what I expected. When we were kids, everything came easy to me because Mom and Dad made it easy. But you had to fight for everything. I never appreciated how hard that must have been until this week, when everyone started asking me why I needed help buying a house when my older sister could do it alone. I felt tears starting. Emma. I'm not done. I know Mom and Dad messed up. They've always treated you differently, and I let them because it benefited me. That was wrong. And the thing with your birthday. Sarah, I knew it was your birthday when they threw me that party. I knew, and I didn't say anything. The tears were falling now. Why didn't you say anything? Because I'm selfish. Because I like being the center of attention. Because I told myself you didn't care about that stuff anyway. Her voice cracked. But you do care. Of course you care. And I'm so sorry. We talked for 2 hours. Emma told me things I never knew, how she'd always felt pressure to be perfect because she was the favorite, how she'd been jealous of my independence and self-sufficiency, how she'd been afraid that if she wasn't the golden child, our parents would stop loving her entirely. It didn't excuse everything, but it helped me understand. Emma wasn't evil, she was just as damaged by our parents' favoritism as I was, in a different way. What do you want to do about Mom and Dad? She asked. I don't know. They're still sending me angry messages demanding apologies. You shouldn't apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. Will you tell them that? I'll do better than that. I'm going to have a conversation with them about how they've treated you over the years. It's long overdue. That conversation happened the next day. Emma called me afterward, exhausted. How did it go? I asked. About as well as expected. Mom cried and said she never meant to make you feel less loved. Dad got defensive and said they treated us equally. I showed them specific examples going back years. It was a lot. Do they get it now? I think Mom is starting to. Dad is going to need more time. He doesn't like being wrong about anything, let alone something this big. The next few days brought some unexpected developments. Jake, who had been mostly silent throughout this entire ordeal, showed up at my new house unannounced on Tuesday evening. I was in the kitchen unpacking dishes when I heard the doorbell. Holy shit, Sarah, he said when I opened the door. This place is incredible. I let him in, watching as he took in the restored hardwood floors, the original crown molding, the way the evening light streamed through the tall windows. I had no idea you were even looking at houses, he said, running his hand along the banister of the main staircase. This must have cost a fortune. I've been saving for a long time, I said simply. Jake nodded, then sat down heavily on my new couch. I owe you an apology too. Jake, you don't. Yes, I do. I've been thinking about what Emma said, about how Mom and Dad have always treated you differently. I guess I never really noticed because I was dealing with my own stuff. Being the youngest, the son they expected to carry on the family name but never seemed to live up to their expectations. He looked around the room again. But you're right. They've never given you credit for anything you've accomplished. I sat down across from him. It's not your fault. You were just a kid too. Maybe, but I'm not a kid anymore. And I should have said something when they forgot your birthday and then threw Emma that party. He pulled out his phone. I actually recorded part of that party because I thought it was weird timing, but I didn't know what to do with it. He showed me a video I hadn't seen before. It was my mom, clearly tipsy, talking to my Aunt Susan. We just love spoiling our Emma. She works so hard, and she deserves nice things. Sarah's always been more of the independent type anyway, she doesn't really need the same kind of support. Hearing those words, even secondhand, felt like a punch to the gut. The independent type. As if my independence was a choice rather than a necessity. I'm sorry, Sarah. I should have shown you this weeks ago, but I didn't want to make things worse. Actually, I'm glad you waited. If I had seen this when everything first happened, I might have done something I regretted. Jake spent the next hour helping me hang pictures and telling me about his own struggles with our parents' expectations. It was the longest real conversation we'd had in years, and it made me realize how much the family dynamics had affected all of us, not just me. After Jake left, I found myself thinking about my childhood in a different way. I pulled out some old photo albums I brought from my apartment and spread them across my dining room table. Looking through them, the patterns became even more obvious. There were dozens of photos of Emma at school events, dance recitals, soccer games, with both parents beaming in the audience. There were maybe 5 photos of me at similar events, usually with just one parent present, if any. In family vacation photos, Emma was always in the center, with the rest of us arranged around her like supporting cast members. But what struck me most were the photos from my high school graduation. I had been valedictorian, earned a full scholarship to college, and was heading off to study computer science. In the handful of graduation photos, I looked happy but somehow alone, even surrounded by family. Emma, who was only a freshman in high school at the time, looked bored and was checking her phone in most of the shots. I found a photo from Emma's high school graduation 4 years later. There were probably 30 photos from that day, professional quality shots of Emma in her cap and gown, candid family moments, even photos of the celebration dinner afterward. The difference was stark. I was putting the albums away when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Hi Sarah, this is Monica from the coffee shop on 5th Street. I saw your house post on Instagram and wanted to reach out. I'm a real estate agent now, and I have clients asking if you'd be interested in selling. The Victorian renovations have really caught people's attention. No pressure, just thought I'd mention it." It was surreal. I had worked in that coffee shop during college, saving every tip to pay for textbooks and groceries. Monica had been a regular customer who always left generous tips and asked about my studies. Now she was reaching out because my house had become neighborhood famous. I screenshot the message and sent it to Emma with a caption, "Plot twist, apparently I'm getting offers on the house already." She called immediately. "Are you going to sell it?" "No way. I love it here. But it's nice to know I made a smart investment." "Sarah, can I ask you something? When you were planning all this, the house, the renovations, everything, did you ever think about telling us? Like, did the thought cross your mind?" I considered lying, giving her an easy answer. But we were trying to rebuild our relationship on honesty. I thought about it. Especially when I was at the bank finalizing the loan, and when I was signing the papers. There were moments when I wished I had someone to celebrate with. I paused. But then I remembered how you guys reacted to my promotion 2 years ago. "What do you mean?" "When I got promoted to senior developer and got that raise. I was so excited to tell everyone at Sunday dinner. Mom's response was, 'That's nice, dear,' and then she immediately changed the subject to Emma's engagement party planning. Dad didn't even look up from his phone." Emma was quiet for a long moment. "I remember that dinner. I was complaining about wedding venue costs." "Right. And within 5 minutes, Mom was offering to call her friend who owns that event space and Dad was talking about increasing their contribution to your wedding budget." The memory still stung. I realized that my successes made everyone uncomfortable because they highlighted how little support I'd been given. It was easier for everyone if I just kept my wins to myself. "That's so fucked up, Sarah. And I'm sorry I was part of it." "You were. But you're also trying to make it right now, which means something." That weekend, I decided to throw my own housewarming party. Not a big affair, just a few close friends, some co-workers, and Jake. Emma was visiting her boyfriend's family, but she helped me plan it over FaceTime. I wanted to celebrate this achievement properly, with people who genuinely cared about my success. My friend Rebecca brought her famous spinach dip. Marcus arrived with a bottle of champagne and a succulent from my kitchen windowsill. My co-worker David, who had mentored me through some difficult projects, brought his wife and twin daughters, who immediately fell in love with a big backyard. We grilled burgers, played music, and gave tours of the house. Everyone was genuinely impressed with the renovations and kept asking about my design choices, my contractor recommendations, my timeline for different projects. It felt amazing to be the expert for once, to have people seek out my advice and opinions. Around sunset, we were all sitting on the front porch when my neighbor from across the street came over with a plate of homemade cookies. "I'm Helen," she said, introducing herself to the group. "I wanted to welcome Sarah properly to the neighborhood. We've been watching the renovation process, and you've done such beautiful work." Helen was probably in her 70s, with silver hair and kind eyes. She settled into one of my porch chairs like she'd been coming to these parties for years. "This house sat empty for almost a year before Sarah bought it," she told my friends. "We were all worried it would stay that way or get bought by some investor who would flip it cheaply. But Sarah has been so respectful of the original character while making it her own." "Helen knows everything about this neighborhood," I explained. "She's lived here for 40 years. 43 next month," Helen corrected with a smile. "And I can tell you that this young woman has brought more life to this street than we've seen in a long time. She actually talks to her neighbors instead of hiding behind headphones. She's already volunteering for the neighborhood association." My friends exchanged impressed looks. Rebecca raised her champagne glass, to Sarah, for creating the home she deserves and the life she's always worked for. Everyone cheered and clinked glasses. In that moment, surrounded by people who appreciated me for who I was rather than comparing me to someone else, I felt a happiness I hadn't experienced in years. Later that evening, as I was cleaning up, I got a text from my mom. "Saw Jake's Instagram story from your party. The house looks lovely. I hope we can visit soon." It was a small gesture, but it felt like progress. She wasn't demanding an invitation or making it about her feelings. She was just acknowledging what I'd accomplished and expressing hope for the future. I decided to respond, "Thank you. I'd like that too, when we're all ready." The next morning brought an unexpected visitor. I was in my garden, planting herbs in the raised beds I built, when I heard a car door slam. I looked up to see my dad walking across the lawn, looking uncertain and older than I remembered. "Hi, sweetheart," he said, using a tone I hadn't heard from him in years. "Hi, Dad. This is a surprise. How did you get my address?" "Jake gave it to me." "I hope that's okay. I asked him not to tell you I was coming because I wasn't sure I'd have the courage to actually show up." He looked around the yard, taking in the landscaping, the fresh paint on the house, the new porch furniture. Jake wasn't exaggerating. "This place is really something." "Thanks." I stood up, brushing dirt off my hands. "What brings you by?" He was quiet for a moment, and I could see him struggling with something. My dad had never been good with emotional conversations or admitting when he was wrong. "I've been thinking about what Emma and your mother have been saying. About how we've treated you over the years." He kicked at a small stone in the walkway. "I don't see it the same way you all do, but I can see that you feel hurt. And that's not what I wanted." It wasn't a full apology, but it was more than I'd expected from him. "I've always been proud of you, Sarah. Maybe I didn't show it the right way, but I am. This house, your job, the way you've handled yourself through all this drama, it shows strength." "Dad, let me finish. I know I'm not good at this stuff. Your mother is better with the emotional things. But I want you to know that when I tell people about my kids, I talk about your career, your independence, your accomplishments. I guess I assumed you knew that." I felt tears starting. "I didn't know that." "Well, now you do." He looked up at the house again. "Can I see the inside?" "Jake said you did most of the design work yourself." I gave him the full tour, watching as he examined the crown molding I'd had restored, the built-in bookcases I designed for the living room, the kitchen island I'd custom-ordered to fit the space perfectly. He asked technical questions about the electrical work, the plumbing updates, the HVAC system. It was the most engaged conversation we'd had in years. "This is really impressive, kiddo," he said as we finished in the master bedroom. "You've got a good eye for this stuff." "I learned a lot from watching you work on our house when I was little," I said. His face softened. "I remember you always wanting to help with my projects. You were the only one who showed interest in learning how things worked. I still have that toolbox you gave me for my 16th birthday." "You do?" "Of course. I used it for half the projects in this house." We stood there for a moment, both of us probably thinking about all the years of misunderstanding between us. "Sarah, I know I haven't been the father you needed. I don't know how to fix that, but I'd like to try." It wasn't everything I'd hoped for, but it was honest. And it was a start. As I write this, it's been a month since I posted that photo with the deed. The angry messages have mostly stopped, replaced by awkward attempts at reconciliation. My mom sent me a long apology letter acknowledging her mistakes and asking if we could start over. My dad hasn't apologized directly, but he did send a photo of my house to his work buddies with the caption, "My daughter's new place." Emma and I are rebuilding our relationship slowly. She came to see the house last weekend and helped me paint the guest bedroom. We talked about everything, our childhood, our parents, our futures. It felt like talking to my sister for the first time in years, instead of talking to the golden child. The funniest part of all this? The house has increased in value by $30,000 since I bought it, thanks to the renovations and a hot real estate market. I could sell it tomorrow and make a significant profit. I'm not going to, because I love living here, but it's nice to know I made a smart investment. My parents want to visit the house, but I'm not ready for that yet. I need them to understand that this isn't just about real estate or social media posts. It's about 28 years of feeling invisible in my own family, and one moment when I decided I was tired of waiting for them to see me. I posted another photo last week, me in my garden, covered in dirt, planting tomatoes. The caption was simple: "Home is where you plant yourself and grow." The response was overwhelmingly positive. Friends, co-workers, distant relatives, even neighbors I barely know have been cheering me on. It turns out that a lot of people have their own stories about family favoritism and finding success on their own terms. But the message that meant the most came from an unexpected source, a high school classmate I hadn't talked to in years. "Sarah, I've been following your story and I wanted you to know that you inspired me to finally make an offer on a house I've been looking at for months. If you can do it alone, so can I. Thank you for showing me what's possible." That's when I realized something important. This was never really about revenge or payback. It was about reclaiming my own narrative. For years, I let my family define me as the struggling older sister who couldn't quite get her life together. But that was never true. I was the hardworking, independent, successful daughter who didn't need anyone's help or approval. The deed to my house isn't just a legal document. It's proof that I bet on myself when no one else would, and I won. My family is still processing everything that's happened. Some relationships may never fully heal, and I'm okay with that. I can't control how they react to my success, but I can control how I respond to their reactions. I choose to respond with grace, boundaries, and an unwavering commitment to the life I've built for myself. And if they don't like it, well, they know where to find me. I'll be in my beautiful house, living my best life, with or without their approval. The angry messages may have stopped, but my success story is just beginning.